Warning. The following program is a satirical look at Indigenous news, politics, and current events. Jesse from the Beachcombers is advised.
Aline, bonjour, welcome to the Laughing Drum television, so deeply and profoundly Indigenous, we can speak Inuktitut in Cree. We've got an exciting show tonight. Cree and Haida singer-songwriter Christy Lane Sinclair is here to talk about her new album. My Red Power panel will slice into the hottest topics of the day. But first, as always, let's check out what's been happening on the news. We begin in rural Saskatchewan, where farmers say they're on edge. Sorry, wrong clip. Or is it? A series of RCMP town halls on rural crime kept my friends in the news media pretty busy these past few days.
Although RCMP say the charges against Gerald Stanley and the shooting death of Colton Boushie is not why they called this meeting, it's clearly on many people's mind.
There is concern over how far people can go to defend themselves and their property.
Why can't I defend myself? Any means possible.
That last guy sounded a little too eager to find out how far one can go, but maybe not as eager as this next reporter who seemed to give viewers a how-to lesson on shooting someone and getting away with it.
Any suggestion that you're limited in what you can use to defend yourself is just plain wrong.
Did the person have a weapon? Size, gender, age, and physical capabilities of both parties involved are just some of the considerations for a judge or jury to evaluate when a self-defense argument is at play.
In politics, Doug Ford has been narrowly elected as leader of Ontario's Progressive Conservative Party, which means the brother of Toronto's crack-smoking brother Rob Ford could one day be that province's premier. But that was apparently not the only controversial thing about the election. Check this out.
Ford won narrowly based on a point system meant to ensure the winner has broad support across the province. But in a statement, Christine Elliott said there were serious irregularities, saying she won the popular vote and the majority of ridings. Late today, though, Elliott threw her support behind Ford.
And they say First Nations have issues with their governance systems. After Ford's victory was announced, the Assembly of First Nations issued this statement.
No.
In sports, an event called the Super Bowl of Dog Mushing kicked off in Alaska. The Iditarod is a 1,600-kilometer sled race that's now in its 45th year, but it's a year that's mired in controversy.
This is the world's most famous dog sled race, and for the first time in its history, dogs failed drug tests. 4 animals belonging to last year's runner-up, Dallas Seavey, tested positive for a banned painkiller tramadol. Seavey, who has won the race 4 times, denied doping his dogs. He wasn't on the start line in protest.
I shit you not, sled dog doping. I guess officials got suspicious when they saw one dog that looked like this. Also in animal news, an Alberta woman's video of a moose in a snowstorm has gone viral.
Good morning. Is there too much snow this morning for you? Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Aw, the moose was cold. Well, I got a nice warm spot for a moose right here. Here, Moosey. We have to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll sit down with musician Christy Lane Sinclair. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show. My guest tonight is a Haida and Cree singer and songwriter whose last album, Dark Matter, took home Best Rock Album at the Indigenous Music Awards. She's about to release a new album this month, The Ability to Judge Distance. Christy Lane Sinclair is here. Christy, welcome to the Laughing Drum.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
It feels like every time I see you, you're on the road. Have you been on tour continuously for the past decade, pretty much, or?
Well, with Red Right Tour, I was touring every year for about 7 years. So I've taken the last year off. Yeah, I took a little break, but I just renewed the website, so I know touring is going to happen again.
Where is home now?
Home is Toronto. I lived in Vancouver for 17 years, but yeah, I spent more and more time in Toronto, so it was time.
Yeah. So you're Haida and Cree.
Yes, sir.
Which side do you like best?
Who could choose?
No, where did you grow up then?
I grew up in Prince Rupert. It was a fishing port in northern BC, and it was pretty remote. It's just across from Haida Gwaii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you know that you were going to get into music? Like, did you come from a musical family, or was it?
No, there was not a lot of music around, and you know, I started getting into music, like grunge music, when I was like 13, and I got my mom to get me a VHS of the Smash. Yeah, I'm that old. VHS.
We have VHS copies of this show. It's great.
And and in the first song, I just ran out to her and I'm like, "You need to get me a guitar, and it has to be a Fender Stratocaster because I must become Billy Corgan really soon." So I guess usually you'd want to marry Billy Corgan, but yeah, I wanted to become him. And she did. She got me a Fender Stratocaster because I would only accept a Fender Stratocaster. So I'm a brat.
That was your first guitar?
Yeah, I still play it all the time. It's one of my main guitars.
Wow,
it's an amazing guitar.
That's not one you just get rid of, I don't think.
Well, we actually went to the store, and she went to school with the guy who owned the music store, and he's like, "Do not get this girl this guitar." It was like $800. And she's like, she swears she'll play guitar. He's like, "No, I see this happen. They take it home, they look at it, and then now you're going to be stuck with this guitar." And she's like, "No." She says she's going to be a guitar player. She will be a guitar player. She's never had any interest in anything else.
My son takes guitar, and there's no way we're buying him a Fender guitar for his first guitar.
Take a gamble on your son.
Take a gamble.
He's
so how
your
did
son.
you learn? Yes, he's your son, damn it. What's wrong with you? How did you learn how to play guitar then? Did you take lessons? Or?
I learned from a video. Like a cheesy, I think it was like Chet Atkins or something. It's like A, C, C, C. So I did that, but I think it was a lot of just like hearing. That's why I play real dissonant, waily guitar. But then I wanted to go to music college, and nobody actually knew I played guitar. I didn't tell anyone I played guitar. It was like my secret. It was something about growing up in a small town, and you know, you don't even want to tell anyone. It's like, "Oh, I'm going to play guitar for a living." It's just like they're just going to make fun of me and they're going to be super mean to me, which probably would have happened. So I secretly played guitar, and then I made a demo tape and I sent it to college, and I played Black Sabbath, but one of their more classical ones. Wow. And then I sent it out, and they're like, "You're accepted. Come." And I left like 3 days after graduation. I went to Vancouver. And then I showed up, and they're like, you're in the classical guitar program. I'm like, "How did that happen? I sent you a Black Sabbath tape. I don't own a classical guitar. I don't know what classical guitar is." But I wanted to stay because that was, you know, my way out of my situation of, you know, I really wanted to be an artist. So I was like, I'll take your classical guitar school. And I'm glad I did. I ended up just loving it and loving the technique of it, and it's very hypnotizing and pretty, and so that's how it all happened. Came out in the wash.
But do you, you know, your background coming from up north and then moving to the city? I mean, what influences your music now?
Well, there's a song on there actually, Gita, which is about that exact moment when you're like, you know, I have to leave my home to make my dreams come true, but I don't want to. I want to stay home, and I want to stay with my family. And it's a fun song. It's a fun song of just like running around and, you know, getting into trouble and be like, "Oh, I don't want to go out there. I want to stay in here." But screw it, I gotta go.
Well, look at you now. When was the last time you went home?
To Haida Gwaii, I was there. I actually got to go home last year for 5 weeks, and you know, I try to go home at least once a year, and back to Prince Rupert, and you know, Vancouver's not that far.
Yeah.
I go back a few times a year.
But you're doing a very important show coming up in Vancouver. Why don't you tell us a bit about that?
It is very important.
Yes.
It's
yes.
the All Haida Rock show. The most important show of my career.
That is crazy. I didn't know there were that many Haida rockers, but
there I don't think there has been.
Yeah.
So enough to make a show, and then to get us all in one city to make a show. And it's kind of running on the backs of this art show called Haida Now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be this big art show, and you know, I was like, I want to come out there, and we were talking about me playing at the art show, and I was like, wow, I should do like a whole big show for you guys too.
Okay.
So there'll be like tons of Haidas, and you know,
all
the Haida lovers.
And the Haida lovers. The Haida curious as well, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah.
No.
Haida curious.
Tell us about this album. How did this album come about? What's the story behind this?
This album I wrote in a cabin in the woods in Ontario.
Wow.
And I wrote one of the songs in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And it's...
I'm guessing it's the one called Fire in Santa Fe?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
So that one's like a kind of an angry. I wrote it in New Mexico when Trump was elected, and everybody was really upset and scared, and you know, worried about their lives basically, and also like the other side of people who now had a voice that were, you know, but it's like, you can't lip this guy off. He's got a gun. So it starts off like it's about the idea of fire, and you know, what they've done with it, and then what the people at Standing Rock did with it.
Yeah.
And kind of a positioning of those two things on what happens. And yeah, it's kind of like two songs in one.
Yeah.
Discount.
Well, it's a great album. I had to listen to it this morning, and you know, you're one of the more better-known Indigenous singer-songwriters in Canada. When will you know that you have reached Ernest Munias levels of fame?
Oh my God, I don't know.
What will you do? Push people out of the way? Just walk into a room?
I don't know. That's you made me so awkward. I'm like, I could be Ernest Munias.
Yes, you could. No, Christy Lane Sinclair, thank you so much for coming on The Laughing Drum. We really appreciate it. Her album, The Ability to Judge Distance, drops this month. Check it out. Christy Lane Sinclair. One thing I want to do before you go, all guests on my show receive a can of The Laughing Drum canned luncheon meat.
I want to give
this
you
is for you. Oh my,
a piece of bannock.
Look at this. This is incredible.
It's your own recipe.
Look at that. Look at that. If ever there was a match made in Nietzsche heaven, here it is right here. Look, it's almost like it's smiling. Look.
Cue the love song. Crying out.
I got dusty hands now, but thank you so much for coming on. Christy Lane Sinclair, everybody. Don't go away. When we come back after this break, we're going to sit down with the Red Power panel. And I doubt they brought me bannock.
Yeah, jerk.
Did you know we got the social medias?
Man, don't lie.
It's true. Like The Laughing Drum on Facebook and follow us on Twitter right now.
All right, welcome back to The Laughing Drum. I'm here with my Red Power panel, and they are ready to tell you what's what and when was who. The Red Power panel this week is a man whose mustache smells like pemmican and truth, Sasha Mark. A woman who puts the cha-ching in Kucha-ching, Alexa Kixon. And a man who can put a hickey on your spirit. The legendary Anishinaabe comic, Jerry Barrett, is here. Oh, look at that.
You look really good.
That's a little scary. Who's who here? All right, the Red Power panel is here. All trickery aside, We're going to start with something that's not really in the news, but I think it's something that we all grapple with. Trump, Doug Ford, Colton Bushey, land claims, feminism. These are names and terms that are very likely to cause fierce debate and sometimes outright hate on Twitter and Facebook these days. So, in this so-called age of reconciliation, is social media the place to discuss our differences? We'll start with you, Jerry.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think so. It worked for Trump. He used Twitter like nobody's business, and now he's now he's the president of the United States. So it's really working for him, you know. But he uses it too much. I think it's a two-sided sword. It can get you elected and then get you, you know, put you in jail too, maybe, if you admit to too much, and no drunk tweeting. I don't know what Trump's doing at 4 a.m., but you shouldn't, you know, drink on Facebook.
Alyssa?
I think yes, but I also think that you should have to answer like a math question before you're allowed on the internet that day, or like, you know, like how the Sphinx has like 3 riddles. Like you should have to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's like a breathalyzer.
Yeah, I think you need to earn your time on the internet. For some people, they should not be on there.
Sasha, you're probably the youngest person here. That's your first language, I imagine?
Yeah. No, social media is, I think it's a way that people use to, you know, connect with others. It's also like a really good place to, you know, find recipes, porn, animals, games, and, you know, like that one person who never messaged you back on Tinder, you know. I'm still here, you know, just like
ghosted.
Yeah.
Have any of you debated people online?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah? And how did that work out for you?
Well, I still haven't talked to that one aunt in about 5 years. Almost got divorced twice.
Wow.
And we were in the same room too. But yeah, it's good times.
Jerry, you ever debate anybody?
You know, it's I try to keep my Facebook page upbeat and positive and drama free.
That must be
I'm probably
hard.
the only one, the only person on Facebook that tries that, because you're trying to build a fan base as an entertainer, and the drama of the road and you know, the politics of the day. I'll save that for the stage. Really, telling jokes about, you know, my whatever for the stage, and the Facebook is just supposed to be a positive image of what I'm what I want people to think I'm actually doing, when in fact it's completely the opposite. When I say I'm going out for nachos, it's not nachos.
Okay, here's a question. Is social media a dangerous place for Indigenous people?
Yes.
Like, it's like, I remember being like, I remember doing a project and it's like Aboriginal peoples, and then you just get, I was on Google, Aboriginal peoples, and it's like, are fat, are lazy, are alcoholics. Wow. It's like, what? It's like, you know, it's just like, it's just like, Google's not even safe, you know? It's like, so it's just like,
exactly. Google, you're racist.
Get out of here.
Okay, is debate on social media real? Or does it have any impact on offline life? Like when you debate somebody online, do you think that it just happens there, or like do people carry that with them in their real lives?
I think it depends. Like I know I can debate somebody about, you know, politics or religion, and then I can also, you know, go drink a glass of wine and forget about it. And maybe the other person is like seething and like, you know, like coming up with like a really good retort to what I've said, and then I'll just ignore that person for a year. And like, it doesn't affect me, but I know it can affect some people. That's why like Canada's so angry.
Yeah, and I think too, like, it's like, I think a lot of people think that social media is like the only way now to, like, you know, to address causes and things like that. They're like, oh, I retweeted this, I saved Africa, thank you very much, you know? Like, it's like, no, that's not the case. There's a lot of legwork that needs to happen too, you know? Yeah. It's, I don't think it's the most useful thing to just relate things.
Well, I find that, again, I don't post a lot of my comedy on there, like my status updates. I'll try and make that as humorous as possible. But I do an Elvis tribute show as well, self-promotion. And Elvis fans are so picky about the performers. Like your pants are too short. Elvis never wore a watch on stage. You know, your hair's too long. It's too short. They really, it makes you really feel bad about yourself and your act. So I try to stay away from posting too much Elvis stuff on my, like, of me performing as Elvis. Right?
We were talking about race, and we're talking about bringing this country together, but apparently Elvis drama.
Yeah, exactly. Let's welcome to the Elvis drum, everybody. But yeah, I mean, Elvis was a native. There's.
That is true. All right, we're going to move on to something that was on the news. First Nations are demanding a cut of the cannabis tax once pot becomes legal in Canada. It raises bigger questions for my Red Power panel here. I'm going to get really personal here, guys.
Okay.
Do you use cannabis?
I'm stoned to the bone right now. I can't do this unless I'm hammered. No,
You don't? No?
I don't.
I don't either. I don't know.
But my mother, God rest her soul, we were talking earlier in the green room there, that she was really, really concerned that as a teenager, she didn't want me to be involved in pot or pills or anything. So she made sure that I stayed away from it. And I'd never smoked it. I don't like the smell of it, so you know, I'm a nerd.
I like the smell of it. I just don't like the feel of it. So I don't personally. I don't know, but I don't use anything. I mean, I drink coffee and that's about it. So, Alyssa, hey,
Mom, if you're watching, please turn the TV off. My mom's like, I've known for a long time. No, I do. I mean, it started off as recreational, but once I was diagnosed with lupus, I find that it does help with chronic pain, and
you're in a lot of pain.
I'm in a lot of pain, like all the time.
All the time.
Like,
right now.
Right now, so much pain, and it also, you know, it just with the state of this country, it really helps tolerate, you know, all the racism. It doesn't get to my soul as much, so.
Sasha, you look like a narc. Hey, you want to buy some weed? You want to buy some grass?
I'm 23. I live downtown. Yeah. I'm really sad. You know, like it's like, you know, I guess like on occasion I would do it like on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Well, I wear hemp underwear, so you know.
The reason I bring this up is because so many First Nations want to get involved in this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So let's take that stance right now and say First Nations should get involved in the pot business. How would you sell pot? How would you market Indigenous pot?
Well, we've marketed, you know, we've marketed cigarettes. You know,
Golden Leaf.
Yeah. Golden Leaf.
So I mean, it's quite possible.
Sago marijuana.
Well, if I had a like pot business, you know, there's so much like I would call it like the brand would be like Weed Nuck, you know, and then the bong for Winnipeg would be like Potholes, you know, like you just like, put it in like you're set, you know. Don't take my ideas, it's mine. Like, so. But
Alyssa, how would you market your line of pot?
I feel like I would probably like think about it for like an hour and then forget what I was doing. So it sells itself.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. There we go. This is a family show, you guys. Yes. I think that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much to my Red Power panel for coming here and incriminating themselves for the next couple of months. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
We're healing. Like we're not. You know?